I am back with another video. So today I want to talk about something that's been in the news recently about Dr. Dre and his ex-wife. So I know a lot of you guys, it's a lot of controversy around this whole divorce settlement. And so what is happening is Dr. Dre has been ordered to pay his ex-wife, Nicole Young, $3.5 million per year. So I know a lot of people is like, what? Why is he been ordered to pay that kind of money? And a lot of people don't understand what the courts take into consideration when there is a divorce settlement or divorce at hand. So I want to go over some things of what the courts consider when they are granting these settlements and why some of these settlements are outrageous. I know a lot of people are like, these people don't need that kind of money to live yearly, and that is true, but there are a lot of things to consider. So here are the things. First, they're going to consider the duration of the marriage. Generally, anything over 10 years, the wife or the husband can get spousal support. So keep that in mind. Dr. Dre and his ex-wife were married for 24 years. So the courts definitely considered that. We're going to consider the standard of living. So because Dr. Dre is Dr. Dre, of course they had a nice life. They lived lavishly. And so the courts are not going to allow the wife to go and live in a one-bedroom apartment when she's been living in a mansion for the last 24 years. So they're going to see that her standard of living is the same, although there has been a divorce. Courts will also consider the age and the physical emotions of both parties. And so if you are under the age of 50 years old, you're considered a younger individual. If you are over the age of 50, you are like an advanced age individual. They look at it as if you are under 50, you can learn a new skill. If you're over 50, you can't learn a new skill. That's kind of how they view it. And so if you are older, they're going to take that into consideration as well. They're also going to take into consideration the financial resources of both parties. And so Dr. Dre is who he is, so of course he has a lot of finances. His wife is a lawyer, so I'm sure she has financial resources as well, but it's not up to the same standard as Dr. Dre. And so the court is going to take that into consideration when they are making their divorce settlement agreement. Courts will also take into contribution of what each party brought into the marriage, and that's also including not just what you did while you were working as far as bringing income into the marital home, but if you were at home with the children, or you care of the house and you clean the house, type of homemaking, childcare, education, career building, they're going to take all of that into consideration. Take into consideration the time it took for you to get an education or any type of training. So if the wife was educated or trained, going through law school throughout the marriage, the courts will consider that as well. And then they're going to take the ability of the pair spouse, what they have to consider outside of the support. So they're not going to say, this person was living this lavish life and you have to afford for them to live a lavish life now, and you have to live in a small apartment. They won't do that. So they're going to take into consideration the expense, all the expenses of the payer spouse. So Dr. Dre here will be the payer spouse because he has to pay his ex-wife. And so they are looking at all of the other expenses he's going to have outside of the spousal support. Because he is Dr. Dre, of course, he has a lot of finances. They look into all of the finances and they can clearly see, okay, he can afford all of his own finances as well as this spousal support. So that's where those numbers come from. And then they're also looking at if there was some type of abuse. And so allegedly, Nicole stated that Dr. Dre had abused her. He put a gun to her head and some other things that happened in the marriage. And Dr. Dre is alleging that none of those things have occurred. And so the courts are going to look at that. So it was kind of a messy divorce. And I know a lot of people was looking at these numbers and thinking, how in the world does the court come up with these numbers? And so this is how to consider. I know another thing people are wondering is how long is he going to have to pay this? Now, some courts will order that if this is a younger individual and they're going to go back to school and they're going to go get some skill sets, they'll allow the payer spouse to pay for a number of years until the other spouse is able to get up on their feet. And then in other situations, they may be ordered to pay for an indefinite period of time. So here, Dr. Dre has been ordered to pay his ex-wife up until either party dies, or if the receiving party, which would be Nicole here, until she is in a domestic partnership, meaning she's living with someone else, she's married to someone else, then he wouldn't have to pay that amount. Or it will be until the court makes some other type of ruling that Dr. Dre would not be liable to pay Nicole. And so one consideration would be if he had exhausted all of his funds, then of course he would not be able to make those payments. So those are the kinds of things that the court that answers the question of how long spousal support can last. It definitely depends on each situation. Each situation is different. And so that's why it's not a set number for support to be paid, because everyone receives different payments, everyone receives different salaries. And so they are going to dedicate and dictate your divorce settlement with your personal situation. So if you have any questions, comments, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Ask me questions, tell me whatever kinds of videos you'd like me to record, and I'll see you next video. Bye.